Hello guys, this is Abhirish Kumar. Today's topic is nitrogen balance and glycemic index. Let's get into the topic. Before going into the topic, I'll say how we are going to discuss this topic. First, we'll have an introduction, definition and deviation, maintenance of nitrogen balance, followed by definition, calculation and applications of glycemic index. So coming to the introduction of nitrogen balance. What is this nitrogen balance? Before going into it, we should know what is the source of nitrogen. Our body is made up of few elements like carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. So this nitrogen is mainly obtained from protein, or it is a constituent of protein. Or we do say it is fundamental particle and building blocks of proteins too. And dietary proteins are the only sources of this, not only exclusive sources of this nitrogen. Now, we'll see what is nitrogen balance. Nitrogen balance is nothing but nitrogen input minus nitrogen output. Balance is equal to I minus O. So, how this balance occurs, we'll see. So, what is the input of nitrogen? Mainly, input is dietary intake of protein, as we said, proteins. And output may be occurring through urine, feces, and also skin in the form of sweat. So, the output will be U, F, and S, and input will be I. So, the equation become balance is equal to I minus U plus F plus S. This is what nitrogen balance is, input minus output. So balance may not always be maintained or achieved. There may be imbalances sometimes. So in the same way, there are some deviations in nitrogen balances also. So when protein intake is not equal to output, balance cannot be achieved. The imbalance will be of two types. One will be positive nitrogen balance, other is negative nitrogen balance. What is positive nitrogen balance? Positive nitrogen balance is nothing but protein intake will be more than the output. So in the equation, balance is equal to input minus output. So the balance should become positive when input is greater than output. This is what goes with. And this positive nitrogen balance will lead to increase in the protein content of the body. Increase in protein content of the body as a result. There are some conditions in which we achieve positive nitrogen balance. During growth, during pregnancy, or some hormonal influences like growth hormone, insulin, androgens, and during the stage of convalescence. Convalescence is nothing but the state in which we are recovering from illness or disease. That is what the stage of convalescence is, and these are the conditions in which we achieve positive nitrogen balance. Next one is negative nitrogen balance. Negative nitrogen balance is nothing but when protein intake is less than the output or excretion exceeds intake. That is what the negative nitrogen balance. This leads to loss of protein in the body. There are also some conditions in which negative nitrogen balance occurs. First one will be acute illness. Second one will be chronic illness. And third one is prolonged starvation. During at that time, protein deficiency will occur. The last hormone, here the hormones involved are corticosteroids and thyroid hormones. This is the imbalances. Now, how this nitrogen balance is maintained? Maintenance of nitrogen balance. So mainly through input and output. Daily, how much is excreted? That much we have to take in. So around 3.5 gram of nitrogen per day is lost in a 65 kg person. So this would be equivalent to 22 gram of protein. So based on this data, we have what we conclude is regularly we have to take 0.7 to 0.8 gram of protein per kg body weight to compensate the loss. This is how we balance the nitrogen content in the body or protein content in the body. Maintenance. This is the flow chart illustrating how nitrogen balance occurs inside the body. We have concluded the nitrogen balance. Hope so you understood it. We'll see glycemic index. What is glycemic index? It is nothing but we are going to access how the food, carbohydrate food affects our blood glucose level. That is what glycemic index is. Glycemic index is defined as the area under the blood glucose curve after the ingestion of food, compared with the area after the blood glucose curve after taking the same amount of carbohydrate as glucose. This will clearly understand when I explain the equation in the upcoming slides. So, next. So how will you calculate glycemic index? We generally will calculate it by glucose tolerance test. And we have an equation like glycemic index will be equal to incremental area under glucose tolerance after 50 gram test meal by incremental area under curve after 50 gram reference meal. This reference meal is 50 gram glucose and this test meal is the food we eat regularly. That is what that into 100, that is the equation. So what we are going to do here is in glucose tolerance test, generally after overnight fasting we'll take a blood sample, that is fasting blood sample, and after eating after 1 hour, 1.5 hour and 2 hours we'll take the blood sample, that is postprandial blood glucose level. We have some values, we'll test it for both reference meal and test meal in respective days, and we'll plot it in the form of graph. When we plot it in the form of graph, we'll get a curve. So the incremental area under glucose tolerance of reference meal by first test meal in the numerator, reference meal in the denominator. So incremental area under glucose tolerance in the test meal, reference meal by the test meal into 100. So this is the way we find the glycemic index. Glycemic index is nothing but a number which ranges from 1 to 100. So when it is 1, the carbohydrate food does not increase the blood glucose level to that extent. When it is 100, which rises the blood glucose level to a higher level. That is what the meaning is. So this helps the physicians or dietitians to provide a suitable diet for a diabetic patient or diabetes. So this is what this glycemic index is very essential to learn. This is why. Now I hope you understood how to calculate the glycemic index. Okay, coming to the next topic, applications of this glycemic index. So simple carbohydrate food will increase the will have higher glycemic index. When such type of carbohydrate is combined with proteins or fibers or fat, the glycemic index will be less or reduced. So the food with high glycemic index will increase the blood glucose level, and food with low glycemic index decreases the blood glucose level. So we'll see the list of food containing its glycemic index values. Potato chips has the maximum glycemic index of 90 and ice cream has less minimum glycemic index of value around 35 to 40. So potato chips or tubers type of food are highly restricted for diabetic patient, and ice creams they can take once in a month or in such range. It is not preferred, but it can be given in some range. Okay. So suggested diet for a diabetic will include 55% carbohydrate, 25% protein and 20% fat. Among this carbohydrate, sweet, sugar, refined carbohydrates are strictly avoided. Leafy vegetables are increased. Tubers are strictly avoided, and ice creams can be taken once in a month. So I hope you all enjoyed this session learning about nitrogen balance and glycemic index. This is not a big essay. It may be a short note question, and many MCQs can be asked from this part. Like what are the conditions that cause positive nitrogen balance, and what are the conditions that cause negative nitrogen balance, and such questions, and how much amount of protein should be taken per kg body weight, that is 0.7 to 0.8 gram. Such a way, many questions, MCQs can be asked from nitrogen balance. In glycemic index also, among the following, which has high glycemic index and which affects the blood glucose, which increases the blood glucose level, which decreases the blood glucose level, and how was this glycemic index being assessed in such a way. Many MCQ questions are possible, and these two are separate short notes. Okay, thank you. Hope you all enjoyed the session well. Have a nice day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.